What is up? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit out of my realm when it comes to what the channel is kind of about. So, if you're here for the toys and things like that, this is going to be a little different. It's still very collecting based or kind of collection based, at least for me and my brain. But the main reason I want to do this is I want to continue to try to work on my editing skills and work on some of the stuff that technology can do when it comes to content creation. So I'm trying to do this just to see how it comes out, how it looks, how it works with some of the stuff I want to do for this video. And you'll hopefully see what I mean in a second here if all the editing works out. But today, I mentioned it a little bit in one video. And when I mentioned it, it really got me thinking that I wanted to try this to do some of the, like I said, some of the editing and stuff. So this video is a little bit more for me than it is necessarily for the audience, if you will. But hopefully you'll still get a little bit of enjoyment out of it. But I want to talk about my Platinum Trophy collection. If you're not sure what Platinum Trophies are, they are basically electronic or digital trophies that you can collect in pretty much any or every video game that comes out for PlayStation nowadays. It started back on the PlayStation 3 and it has continued all the way through to current day on the PlayStation 5. Essentially, every game has bronze, silver, gold, and then one platinum. They don't necessarily have to have a platinum. Some of the older games don't even have platinum trophies. They just have the bronze, silver, gold. Some of them don't have trophies at all. But most modern games, I believe, have to. As far as I know, I believe Sony made a rule or said that all publishers of video games have to have trophies for their games if they're going to be on the PlayStation console. So I believe every game now has them, but I could be wrong. There might still be some out there that don't. But anyways, so the game has, like I said, bronze, silver, and gold trophies, and you collect those trophies as you play the game. Once you've collected every single other trophy, bronze, silver, gold, you unlock the platinum. So, and the trophies can range from anything that the developer of the game wanted it to be. Some games are super simple. You just play the game, and as you play the game, you get the trophies, and by the end, when you beat the game, the platinum trophy pops. Other games are a lot more complicated, where you have to do specific, very detailed things to get the trophy to pop. A lot of them are collectible based, so you have to find every hidden secret or every hidden item in the game. There's a ton of different stuff. There's joke ones where they're like, do something, do silly task A and you'll get the trophy or whatever it is. Basically, like I said, anything that a publisher of a game or a maker of a game, whatever you want to call it, decides to make a trophy can be considered a trophy. Usually, your bronze trophies are your more easy trophies. So those are a lot of times your story-related trophies. So, hey, beat this story mission, you get a trophy. Those are usually your bronze. Silver is where it gets a little more challenging. A lot of times that'll be your collectible ones, like collect all of a certain collectible, things like that. And then gold is where it gets to be more challenging. A lot of times that's like, beat this extra boss that you don't have to beat the game, or do this extra task that's very complicated in order, or that you don't have to do it to beat the game. A lot of times your final mission in a game will have a gold trophy as well, just because you beat the game, hurrah. But by the end of it, if you've collected all of however many of the trophies there are, you get the platinum trophy. And I've gotten super into this over the last almost 2 years, about a year and a half now. I've always been into trophies and achievements. On the Xbox, they're called achievements. They're worth points instead of trophies. So usually like a bronze trophy on the PlayStation would be about like 10 points on the Xbox, things like that. But I did a lot of stuff on Xbox. I have like a 40,000 gamer score or something on Xbox. So nothing crazy, I would say, but not terrible. And I did a lot on Xbox. I had the Xbox Series X before I had a PS5, but there seemed to be a lot more videos on YouTube about platinums than there was achievements. And a lot more trophy hunting type videos on YouTube. So when I was watching videos to try to find games to do on the Xbox and things like that, I saw a lot more platinum talk. And it really got me wanting to do platinum trophies. So I went out and bought a PS5. I bought the PS5 July 4th of 2023, and I created a brand new account. I had a PS4 with a PSN account and all that kind of stuff, but I created a brand new one and I started fresh. 0 trophies, 0 platinums, 0 across the board on a brand new account. And I started my trophy collecting journey. And that's what I want to go over here. Like I said, it's mainly because I want to try to do some editing things, and you'll see that in a second. But I'm going to start it off, and we're going to talk about the trophies that I got. This will probably be a long one. I'm going to warn you now. It's going to be a long one because as of today, this is February 23rd, I believe. February 23rd. I have 51 platinums. So over the year, or over the July 4th to the end of 2023, and then all of 2024, and then January 1st to February 23rd. So July 4th, 2023 to February 3rd of 2025, I've been able to acquire 51 platinum trophies. And I'm going to talk about them here. So like I said, it'll probably take a little bit of time. So it's going to be a long one. Buckle up and grab yourself a drink because we're going to be here a bit. So the first one that I got, and I got this on the day that I got the PlayStation, so July 4th, was Astro's Playroom. Of course, any trophy hunter out there probably has this platinum. The game comes preloaded on your PS5 when you buy it, and it's a free-to-play game at that point. So essentially, you're getting a free platinum, if you will, because the game is free. It's also a relatively easy platinum. Nothing too challenging in this one. Very, very fun game. I love that Astrobot came out. I still have yet to play that game, but super excited to play it. Astro's Playroom was phenomenal. A ton of Easter eggs that harken back all the way to the PlayStation 1. All the accessories, things like that. So very, very solid game. If you have not played Astro's Playroom and you have a PS5, I definitely recommend that you do so. If you're not trying to get the trophies and get platinums and you just want to play the game and go through it, it'll probably take you a couple hours. You could beat the whole game. Like I said, it was mainly just supposed to be like a demo to kind of show you the capabilities of the PS5, show you the capabilities of the new PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. So that's why it was there. But like I said, for us trophy hunters, it was a great way to get a nice, easy platinum and get yourself started. I knew buying the PS5 that was going to be platinum number 1. I did that on purpose. I wanted it to be my very first platinum on this account. And so it will be. So the very next day, I got the second platinum, and that was for Stray. That is a cat game. You play as a cat, and you kind of go through this dystopian world with robots and different things. It's a crazy story about a cat. Absolutely loved the game. Phenomenal game. Loved playing as the cat. Thought it was the coolest thing ever. There's no fighting. There's no like real action to it, I guess. There's a few sequences where you have to run and get away from some enemies. But you as the cat, you can't really do much. And this is where, I mean, some of the trophies get kind of wild, because there's a thing in the game where if you stand still long enough, your cat goes to sleep. And one of the trophies was to sleep for 1 hour. So I literally let the cat fall asleep and then left and did something else for exactly 1 hour. Came back, trophy popped. That's how you got it. So that's where there's some weird things. Like, you don't even do anything. You're just sitting there doing nothing. But then there's also some more challenging ones. There's a sequence where you have to run through a certain kind of narrow alleyway corridor, and you have all these enemies like trying to jump on you and stuff, and you have to get through there without, I believe it's without taking any damage or without getting hit, something like that. But it gets real challenging because these enemies are just coming like from all over the place. So you really have to be able to, dip and duck through there. But that was Stray. Loved the game. Loved playing as a cat. That was the very first game I bought for the PS5. When I bought my PS5, I made sure I bought Stray as well because I really, really wanted to play it. And at the time, I don't know if it had come out for Xbox yet. I believe it's out for Xbox now, but at the time, I think it was still exclusive to PlayStation, so I hadn't been able to play it yet. So was very, very excited to get that game. Very excited to platinum it as well. Love that game. If they made a second one, I'd be a day one buyer for sure. It's crazy because I'm not really a cat person, but the game was awesome. I fell in love with the cat. Just a really, really great game. The third platinum I got, this was a platinum I worked on for a while, kind of playing it in between different things, and that's Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. This is the original Jak and Daxter game that came out back for, what, PS2, I believe it was. And the reason I did this game, and as you'll see, I did the entire first three, or the entire kind of original series, was because it was one of my wife's favorite games from when she was a kid. She had the PlayStation 2, and she loved the Jak and Daxter games, so I knew I wanted to get that one. We played it together. More so she kind of watched while I played it, but definitely love that series. There's a few more, like the PSP game, what it's called, Daxter, I think, where you just play as Daxter. That just got released on the PlayStation Store, so I definitely want to do that and get the platinum for it as well. But I do like that I got the Jak and Daxter, the first or the original trilogy. I believe there's a racing game, Jak X, that you could do, and then there's like one or two other like Jak and Daxter style games that you can platinum. So I would like to do those at some point. I'm not the best at racing games, so I feel like some anger could come out there if I tried to do that, but we'll see what happens with that. So the fourth one is another one that took me a little while, and I almost gave up. So this was at a point, those first three were ones that I was getting every single trophy in the game. Stray doesn't have any DLC. Jak and Daxter didn't have any DLC. Astro's Playroom had DLC, so downloadable content. And when new downloadable content comes out for a game, it usually comes with trophies as well. And those don't count towards the platinum. So the platinum is only the base main game that comes out at the original release of the game. Any extra trophies that are added beyond that don't count towards the platinum. So as you're seeing me kind of scroll through these, you'll see a lot of games that say like 70%, but I'll have the platinum for it. That's because the DLC trophies came out, and for whatever reason, I didn't want to play that DLC. Astro's Playroom, at the time of me getting the platinum, I did do the DLC, and I 100%ed it. And then I believe it was right before Astrobot came out, they dropped another DLC, just to kind of give us a teaser before Astrobot, and I have not gone back and played that. After I platinum a game, I delete it from my PlayStation, so I continue to have space and all that kind of stuff. So as soon as I platinumed Astro's Playroom, I deleted it from my hard drive, so I don't even have the game downloaded. It's a relatively small game, so I could download it again quick and get those, but that is why Astro's Playroom was not at 100%. Anyways, now back to Sackboy. So I played through those first three games. I've 100%ed them all at this point. I get to Sackboy, a big adventure. Love the game. Great platformer, fun game. Would be a fun game to play with a group of people. But there's one trophy, one single trophy that makes this game an insanely hard game to get a platinum for. And when I say insanely hard, I mean for me. I'm not the greatest gamer. I'm not a professional gamer by any means. So for me, this is probably like a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 difficulty. And there's one reason why. So there's special levels throughout the game that you do with Sackboy. And in those levels, you can get hit twice and then you die. Okay? So if you get hit twice, you die. There's no way to regain health or anything like that in these levels. And you have to run through them. Most of them were about a minute or so. So they're not super long or super hard. And those were all easy to get through by themselves. But then the very last one combines all, I think it's 12, all 12 of those levels together into one level. So now you're looking at about a 12-minute mission that you have to run through, only being hit twice and completing it. And you actually have to complete it under 10 minutes. So some of the levels are maybe a little bit shorter than a minute, but the trophy is to beat the entire level and beat it under 10 minutes. I did this level so many times, over and over and over and over and over again. For days I was doing this. If my wife was here, she would tell you I did it for so long. This game almost broke me to where I was like, okay, I'm not going to be 100% anymore. I just can't do it. And I finally got it. So like super proud that I finished that. That level sucked so bad. It really, unfortunately, kind of left a bad taste in my mouth for a game that was really good. But for me, if the trophy list really just drains you, it kind of hurts a game. And that's unfortunate because I do like that Sackboy game. It's deterred me from playing any other Little Big Planet games or any other Sackboy games because of it. So spoiler alert, there are no other Sackboy or Little Big Planet games on this list because that level was just so brutal and so absurd. Um, so that's really all I can say about Sackboy. Like, it was good game, just a rough level to try to beat to get that platinum. So moving on to the next one, we got a PlayStation classic, PlayStation staple, and that's Marvel's Spider-Man. This one was a game I bought back on PS4. I got the collector's edition, so I have the Spider-Man statue and everything that came with the collector's edition. I was super excited about it. Loved this game. I never got the platinum on my PS4, but I did it on the PS5 and I got that one done. I also did all of the DLC for this game, so I believe as of now I'm still 100%. There should never be any more DLC because we're on to Spider-Man 2 now. But Marvel Spider-Man, great game. It's a pretty basic trophy list too. Beat the game, beat some enemies with some certain style of moves, collect all the collectibles, complete all of the areas of the map, and you get your platinum trophy. So you can play on the easiest difficulty. I believe there's difficulties. So you can play on the easiest difficulty if you want. Like I said, just play the game, do everything in the game, platinum trophy done. And then the DLC was the same. There was like 4 or 5 episodes to the DLC, and you just played through each one, kind of did the story missions for the episode, did the new collectibles that kind of came out with that episode of DLC, and you got those trophies. You also did have to beat it on New Game Plus. So a lot of the Sony games will come out with the game, and then like a couple months later or so, they'll release to where you can play on New Game Plus. And New Game Plus is where you can restart the game from the beginning, but you have all of your skills or weapons or whatever that you unlock throughout the game, you start with that. So rather than starting the game at like level 0, you start the game at level 50 or whatever it was that you finished your original playthrough at. And a lot of the Sony first party games, they release those later. So Marvel Spider-Man, beat it once, beat it on New Game Plus, which I believe you also had to do on the hardest difficulty at that point, and doing it on New Game Plus made that hardest difficulty way easier because I already had all the skills and was leveled up and everything. But yes, love that game. Love the Spider-Man trilogy. You'll see that. I do have the next one when we get there. Next up, though, is Jak 2. Nothing really more to say about this. Like I said, this was another game. I was kind of playing it as I went through some of these other games when me and my wife had time to play together. So I was kind of playing this simultaneously with Sackboy and Spider-Man and things like that when I was by myself. And then when my wife was home, we would play Jak 2. So nothing more to say about it. Jak 2 is probably my least favorite of the 3. It was just kind of weird to me, but still a fun game. Still a good PlayStation 2 game to go back and play, especially if you're looking for something to platinum or just to play. So fun game there. Next up, we have Ghost of Tsushima. Excellent game. Excellent game. I played the PS4 version for my platinum. I will probably at some point play the PS5 and get those platinums. I believe it's an auto pop, so unfortunately, I think as soon as I load up the game, they'll all pop, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. Sometimes they do that between the PS4, PS5 version, where like if you played it on PS4 and then you buy the PS5 version, they'll auto pop all the trophies. So a lot of trophy hunters do that as well to kind of double dip on their trophy counts, but definitely would love to play the PS5 version of Ghost of Tsushima. Great game. Love the samurai story, love the fighting style. Just an awesome game. There's not much more to say about it. Anybody that plays video games should know that's a great game. I believe there's a second one coming out, so that'll be fun to dive into in platinum, but awesome game. Like I said, still played the PS4 version though. Goat Simulator is next. I believe this was a free PSN game 1 month in 2023-ish. So I downloaded it, got the platinum on it. Fun game, hilarious game. Playing as a goat is just ridiculous. There is one trophy in this one that's a little bit difficult as well. It's called Flappy Goat, I think. But it's based on that old mobile phone game. I believe the mobile phone game was called Flappy Bird. But you would click the phone and the bird would jump. So when you would click, the bird would go up and then it would drop and then jump and, kind of like this. And then there was things on the screen that would, narrow and widen and you'd have to jump between those. Well, that was the same concept in Goat Simulator where you did it with the goat. I think you had to do it. You had to play for like 3 minutes or something where you had to last that long. I can't remember exactly what it was, but essentially you had to beat that Flappy Goat mode. And that's kind of viewed as the hardest trophy in the game. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward one. Just play the game, do some silly stuff with the goat, have a great time. Again, another fun game that would be great to play with friends. Maybe if you're drinking, get a little silly with it. But fun game. Next up, we have Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, this is another one. It's a good game, but it probably should have been DLC for the first Spider-Man game. A lot shorter than the first one. You played as Miles Morales instead of Peter Parker. So fun game, same idea as the first one. Beat the game, play through, get all the collectibles, discover the whole city, things like that. Beat some enemies in specific ways, things of that nature. Nothing too out of the ordinary there. Most Sony first-party games are very similar like that, but super fun game still. Like I said, it just felt a little bit short to be a full-price, full-on game. I played it for the PS4. I know it's been re-released for the PS5, but that's another one I've only played for the PS4. Same with Marvel Spider-Man, the original. Like I said, I bought it for PS4, so I played my original PS4 copy. That's another one that's been remastered or re-upped to the PS5. I wouldn't mind redoing some of these because I love those games. I just don't know if they're auto pop, and I don't really want to get any auto pop ones because I want to play and be proud of all of the platinums that I have. So I don't really want to just get a platinum because I've already gotten it. Like if I'm willing to play the game again, I want to play the game again and get the trophies. So that's where the Spider-Man game, I'm willing to do it again, and I'd love to do it again. I just don't want to risk downloading the game and having all of the trophies pop and then kind of like, that kind of makes me feel yucky. But next up, we're going to finish the trilogy. We have Jak 3. Nothing more to say. We've talked about the Jak trilogy. Good game, fun game. If you're looking for a PS2 game to play, I recommend it. Next up, we have The Quarry. The Quarry is one of those games where you play through a kind of a specific set story, but you get to make the decisions. So there's a group of like 6 to 8 friends. I can't remember exactly how many, but you go through and you play and you make the decisions for them, and that kind of branches off the story as to where it goes. And then, of course, based on your decisions, different characters die at different times or survive, don't survive, whatever that is. So a lot of the trophy list is like, have all the girls survive to the end of the night, have all the boys survive to the end of the night, have nobody survive at the end of the night, have everybody survive to the end of the night. Do this specific thing in this chapter, do this, do that. So it's all based on specific choices, and so you have to play the game a lot. You have to go through the game quite a bit. This game was nice because it had chapter select, so like I played through once, and I did it one specific way. I used a guide for this too, so I didn't have to play it way more times than I needed. So I did it once, and I made all the decisions to get as many trophies as I could in one playthrough. And then when I did it the second time, I was able to start at, say, chapter 4 of the game, because all the decisions I made to chapter 4 set me up to where now in chapter 4 I could make the decision I needed to maybe have the person I want die or not die, and so on and so on and so on. So that's where The Quarry is a game that will take a little bit of time. It'll take, even with a guide, it'll take some time. And it's also could be a very frustrating game because if you make one mistake, you could mess up a whole playthrough depending on if that kills a character or not. So I would say be very patient with that game, but it's a fun game. It's a very story-driven game. It's almost like watching a movie where you get to interact with the characters in the movie. So I love those kind of games. There's another one on here that you'll see in a little bit that I do enjoy as well. But that's The Quarry. That was another PS5 game that I bought when I bought the PS5. It just took me a little bit to get to because I knew it was going to be a little bit long. So I did some other games before then, but that's The Quarry. Like I said, fun game if you're looking for kind of a story-driven, more relaxing type of game. It still has a lot of death and like jump scares in it, so it's not super relaxing, but it's not like you're going to be ripping your hair out because some, sweat on the internet keeps killing you in Call of Duty or something, Next up, we have Ratchet & Clank. This is the PS4 game that, it was like based on the movie, based on a game or something crazy is what the case says. This is another one that I had for my PS4 when I had back originally. I never platinumed it on that, but I've wanted to try to go back and platinum as many of those games that I had for PS4 as I can, so Ratchet & Clank was one of those. After The Quarry, I just wanted something a little bit more action, but a little like calmer too, if you will. Like no jump scares, nothing crazy. Don't have to really worry about much. You're just kind of playing the game and having fun. And that's what I did there with Ratchet and Clank. I definitely do want to do the sequel at some point. What is it? Rift in Time or something like that is the PS5 one that came out. So I do want to get that one as well. This is another one, pretty basic trophy list where you're just kind of beating the game, doing some collectibles, things like that. The one trophy that is kind of annoying is you had to kill at least one enemy with every weapon or something like that. I can't remember. It was something with doing specific things with every single weapon. I think it was getting every single weapon to max level. Like you can level up each weapon and you'll get more and more power and do more damage with each weapon and stuff like that. And that one was kind of annoying just because you've already beaten the game, you've unlocked all the weapons, and now you're just running around killing enemies for no reason, really. Like, so that was kind of frustrating, but it didn't deter me from the game. Like, I still want to do the Rift in Time Ratchet and Clank, so it wasn't like it was a bad trophy. You just have to plan for that. So I use guides and I read guides before I do a lot of these games. That way I can shorten the amount of time I play each game. Now, I know that sounds weird because if you're playing a game you really love, you want to, cherish the experience. But again, I'm also a trophy hunter and I have limited time. I have a family, I have a job, things like that. So I don't want to spend weeks and weeks and weeks on one game because I keep messing something up or I miss something or whatever that looks like. So like I said, for Ratchet and Clank, I knew I had to level up every weapon. So I didn't just stick with one weapon the entire time. I would play with one weapon, get it all the way leveled up, and I'd switch to the next weapon. You know what I mean? So like I knew some of that stuff going in. Whereas had I not known that, I may have just played with my favorite weapon the entire time and then been at the end and been like, shit, now I gotta do nothing basically for 5 hours because I haven't leveled up any of these other weapons. So that's kind of there. Next up, we have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That is a kind of a newer Star Wars game. Cal Kestis is your main character, played by the dude from Shameless. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but the red-haired brother, or in Shameless he has all kinds of different hair. He joins the military, things like that, but he's the guy that plays the Jedi in that. It takes place after the first 3 movies, I believe. I'm trying to think exactly. I'm pretty sure it's between the first 3 movies and the second 3 movies because there's no Jedi anymore. He happened to survive, Order 66, things like that. So I believe that's when it is. I could be wrong there, but anyways, really fun game. The one downside to this game is the map system is terrible in it. One of the trophies is to like discover every area of the map or whatever, and the map is just horrible to read. It's like a 3D like kind of rotating thing, and it's just really, really hard to read, unfortunately. So that's the one downfall there. But the game was excellent. I love the game. I love the fighting style. I love everything that you can do in that game. And you'll see as we get a little further on, I did do the second one as well, we'll talk about. So fun game. I love that series. I believe they're going to do a third one. I don't know when it's going to come out or what that's going to look like, but that should be coming at some point. Next up, I did Bendy and the Ink Machine. This was a game that my wife wanted back when the PS4 came out. I can't remember where she heard about Bendy exactly, but it was a GameStop exclusive for the physical copy of the game, which I'm very, very glad that she got, because now I have the physical copy. I love physical media when it comes to video games especially, so very, very satisfied, or very, very happy, I should say, that I have the physical copy of Bendy and the Ink Machine. Interesting game, very, very weird story, very weird game. Fun game, like I said, interesting game, very weird story. You're trapped in like an old kind of newspaper printing shop, if you will, and the the ink machine is alive. The enemies from the game are ink monsters, things like that. It's a very weird story, very weird game. Got some difficult trophies. You have to find all the collectibles, things like that. Some are missable, like so you get locked out of certain parts of the game as you progress in the game. So I had to do, I want to say 3 or 4 playthroughs of it, which was kind of annoying, but it's a very short game. If you like kind of speed run the game, if you will, you could do it 2 to 4 hours depending on how quick you're doing it. So, I mean, I think I had like 20 or 25 total hours in it, and I beat the game 4 times, I think, to get the platinum or whatever it is. Bendy and the Ink Machine is also my rarest platinum. Like I said, I'm not a super hardcore gamer, so I'm not great at a lot of the hard games. So I don't have any ultra rare trophies. PlayStation breaks it down into 5 categories. So there's common, uncommon, rare, very rare, and then ultra rare, I believe, are the 5 categories. And every single trophy is broken down into those categories. And then the website that I use to track trophies is oh crap, now I can't remember it. PlayStationTrophies.com or something to that effect. And they then, based on all of the people that have accounts on their website, also use those same 5 tiers, but they do it for the people that are specifically trophy hunting. So when I say that, most of these games, the platinums are ultra rare according to the actual PlayStation console. However, based on the group of people that are specifically placed or trophy hunting, none of the games that I have platinumed are ultra rare. Bendy and the Ink Machine is the closest. To be ultra rare, you have to be below 5% of players having achieved the trophy. And the platinum trophy for Bendy and the Ink Machine is at like 5.13 or something like that. So if a couple more people out there on the PlayStation Trophies website plays the game, it could be back down to an ultra rare, but it's all based on how many people play the game and how many people have the trophy or don't have the trophy. So that's where, like I said, on the actual PlayStation and the Sony-based rating, I'd say probably 90% of these games are ultra rare platinum trophies. On the actual trophy hunting website, which is a community of trophy hunters, none of my games are ultra rare. Like I said, Bendy and the Ink Machine is the closest that I have to an ultra rare. So next up is Lego Harry Potter Years 1 through 4. I talked about it in my Wii collection video that the Lego games are very, very near and dear to my heart. I love the Lego games. So you'll see a trend here with that as well, that the Lego games are something that I am very, very passionate about. And I have a ton of platinums from them. So with that, Lego Harry Potter Years 1 through 4. Fun game. I have the double pack that has years 1 through 4 and years 5 through 7. So 2 different games on one disc. So basically I got 2 platinums. You'll see in a second, but I got 2 platinums from one disc. That happens sometimes when they have multiple games, kind of on one disc, where each game gets its own trophies and platinum. So that's where Lego Harry Potter Years 1 through 4 came in. I love the Lego games. I want to get as many Lego platinums as I can. And I started this account with Lego Harry Potter 1 through 4. Next up, I did Immortals Fenyx Rising. I love Greek mythology, and this game was packed with it. So many Greek myths and beasts and enemies and things that you fight throughout the game. Very, very fun game. Long game. I did the main game and I did the DLC. This was at a point where I was still 100% across the board. I had 100% in every single game and every single DLC up into this point. Couple more games in is where that'll stop, but as of now, I was 100%. So I did the base game of Immortals Fenyx Rising and I got the platinum, and then I did all of the DLC. Loved the game. Thought it was really fun. It's not a game that's super popular. I think I got the game brand new for like $10. So it's not a game that did super well, but I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I loved the art style. I thought it was a fun game. I would definitely, play a sequel if they ever came out with one, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen just because of, how poorly it did, but loved the game, thought it was fun. Next up, we finished the Lego Harry Potter games. So I took a little break between the 2 of them with that Immortals game, but I did hit up Lego Harry Potter Years 5 through 7. Finished that one out. Great Lego game based on those 3 movies. Super fun there. Like I said, love the Lego games. Next up, we did the Bluey video game. My son absolutely loves Bluey. When I heard this game was coming out, I was so excited to play it with him, to go through it with him, all that kind of stuff. So I was a day 1 buyer, pre-ordered the game, got the game day 1. We played it a little bit, but then we got busy. It was right around the holidays, so there was a lot going on, things like that. And then my wife works at a job that she has to work on holidays, so including Christmas, Thanksgiving, things like that. So on Thanksgiving Day, she's working. Me and him were home alone, just the 2 of us. We sat down and we platinumed this Bluey game together. He still talks about it to this day. Dad, when can we play the Bluey game again? Dad, I know we beat the Bluey game, but can we just restart? So love, love, love that game. It only took me 2 hours to do the platinum. So 2 hours to him felt like all day. To me, it was a nice, easy platinum to just get it banged out, have it on the list, have it completed. Love that game. Very, very glad I bought it. Don't regret at all the fact that I paid full price and only got, 2 hours out of it because, like I said, to him, it was awesome, and he still talks about it to this day. So very, very excited there. Next up, I did Mafia 2. This is another one. I want to say Mafia 2 came out for the PS3. I could be wrong, but this was another one that was free 1 month for the PlayStation Network or PlayStation members or whatever the heck it's called. Mafia 2. I played this one as a kid and I absolutely loved it. I never played Mafia 1 as a kid. I have played it now, but Mafia 2, I was the first one I ever played in the series, and I absolutely loved the game. Again, as a kid, I thought it was awesome that you got to collect Playboy, and the naked chicks were actually in it. So very, very boy-esque, if you will, there. And it didn't disappoint to replay it again on the PS5. This is the game that made me stop doing the 100% across the board. I still try to platinum every single game I can. I'm not 100% when it comes to platinums either. There is some games that I started and I did not finish. I either gave up or I did not like them, so I didn't have the desire to finish them and waste my time. But Mafia 2 is the first game that the DLC, I said, nope. I beat the entire Mafia 2, and I got the Platinum Trophy in about 22 or 23 hours of playtime. The DLC, on average, takes 25 hours. When I saw that, I said, absolutely not. You're going to tell me that to play a DLC and to get all the trophies, which are not even as many as there was in the original game, that I have to play longer than I played the main game itself? That just seemed absurd to me. I had no desire to do that. So that's where it ended with my 100%. Now, I still have some games that I do get all the trophies in the DLC for, because I enjoy the game enough to want to do that. But I wasn't going to spend double the amount of time on a game that I needed to for DLC that didn't really progress the story in my mind much for the Mafia series. It just didn't make sense to me. So that was where my 100%ing every single game I played ended, was with Mafia 2. So I have the platinum, but I'm not 100%, and that is how it's going to stay, because I have no desire, like I said, I have no desire to play double the amount of time on a game that is unnecessary. That was just a silly move on the producer or publisher or maker of the game's part. Whatever. That's neither here nor there. That's just my opinion. But next up, we have Marvel's Midnight Suns. This was a Black Friday purchase for me in 2023. It was on a good deal at Best Buy, so I picked it up there. Loved the game. This is the game that's taken me the longest to finish. I platinumed the game, and I believe I did do the DLC for this game as well. So I believe I am 100% on Marvel Midnight Sun. But it's a card-based game. So basically you create a deck, and with that deck is what your superheroes can do, essentially. So you pick your superheroes like Spider-Man, Wolverine, Captain America, and then they have cards that you can add to your deck that each one has. And then when you're in battle with enemies, it's turn-based. So I go first, I play a card, that's the move that Captain America does. It does damage, it does an effect to the character, whatever that looks like, and then they go. And hopefully my deck and my cards are better than theirs, and that's how I win. It's a single-player game, however, so you're just playing against a computer. So it's not super difficult from that regard. Some of the battles are a little challenging, but nothing too bad, especially if you're playing, well, I guess, and you're leveling up your characters and getting better cards and leveling up your cards and things like that. It wasn't super difficult, but it was a very fun game. I put 90 hours, I think, into this game and loved every minute of it. Had so much fun with it. Love the Marvel characters. Marvel is very near and dear to my heart, as I'm sure you can tell from 3 or 4 of the games we've already talked about. But love that Marvel Midnight Sun game. And that ended out my 2023. So in 2023, I did 20 platinums. So from July 4th to December 31st, I did 20 platinums. That was my best year so far, and I didn't even have a whole year. 2024, I wanted to try to double it. I wanted to do 40 because I knew I had an extra half of a year to do it, but spoiler, I did not. I believe I was, what did I finish with? 30 something maybe, or I don't even know. It was more than 20, so I beat 2023 with that extra time, but I did not double it. I only have a total of 51, so, you know, if I'd have gotten 40, I should have 60 by now, so I did not. But anyways, so to start off 2024 and to start that challenge of trying to get them all, I did The Last of Us Part 1. That was the remaster that came out for PS5. I love The Last of Us. I have the PS4 version. I might try and platinum it. I don't know if you still can because there's some online trophies to it, and if they shut the server down, you won't be able to get those trophies anymore. So the platinum may be unobtainable. I don't know. But those online trophies are very, very difficult. So that's why I have not tried that one yet. I may, because that would be a game I'd be very, very proud of having platinumed. There's some games on here that I'm extremely proud of, and that would be right at the top of that list if I ever did do that. But this is the remastered Last of Us that I did here, and I enjoyed it. I love The Last of Us. I love that series. It sounds like they're making a third one. The second season of the show is about to come out soon, so very, very excited for Last of Us and love The Last of Us. So that's how I started 2024. I then went on to Nobody Saves the World. So initially when I did this, I thought, to get 40 platinums in a year, I'm going to need some games. Like I'm going to need a steady flow of games. So why don't I try to do one of the free games every single month? In January of 2024, one of those free games was Nobody Saves the World. And you're just this little white blob, and you run around and save the world. You unlock different suits. So like you can become a mermaid and you have mermaid powers, and then you can become a robot and you have robot powers. And like you decide who you want to be, or what kind of character you want to be, and that's how your play style is going to work. And it was so fun. So fun. It was more challenging than what a kid's game would be, but it felt like a kid's game. You know what I mean? Like it was very cartoony, very chill, very fun, entertaining game to play. And I thought it was great. Like I said, I thought it was very fun. I believe this is another one I did the DLC for. You should be seeing this on the screen if my editing worked. So you'll be able to see if I did the 100% on these or not. I cannot. I'm just filming right now, looking at a list of the games that I platinumed. And I'm going to try to edit in a screen of you seeing all of this. So hopefully that works. But if I'm wrong on any of this stuff, I apologize. But I believe Nobody Saves the World is another one that I did 100%. There was like one or two DLC missions that came out with it that gave a little bit more trophy, or a few more trophies. So I believe I did do it for Nobody Saves the World. The big thing with this one that was difficult was you had to level up all of your different costumes. So like I said, you had a mermaid costume, things like that, and you had to level all those up. And to do that, you had to do specific tasks with that costume on. So like with the mermaid, you had to kill so many enemies with Mermaid Kick, which was like a special move that only the mermaid character could do. So that was a little bit grindy that you had to do for a little while, but nothing terrible. Still a fun game. Very happy that I did that. The next one I did was Assassin's Creed Mirage. I love the Assassin's Creed series. I want to continue to do more and more and more. I have not done any more yet on this account, mainly because they take, the newer ones can take a long time. I did 100% Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla on my Xbox. I have every single achievement from the base game and from every DLC that's come out. I played the crap out of that game. I have like 250 hours just in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now, Assassin's Creed Mirage was way shorter. You're probably talking 25 hours in. I don't know that I have the desire to do another 250 hours in Valhalla, so that's why I haven't done it. Odyssey was the same way, where to do it, you're talking hundreds of hours. So I haven't really jumped into any of them. Those are the only two I have on disc. The other ones I would have to buy, so that's why I haven't bought them, because I have other games that I've been playing through or gotten as gifts, things like that. But I do want to try to do as many of the Assassin's Creed games as I can, and Assassin's Creed Mirage is the first one on the list. That was a Christmas gift that year, or well, Christmas gift from Christmas of 2023, and then I did it in the early 2024 is when I did it. So Very, very excited to have Assassin's Creed game on this list or on this collection. That's another thing that I didn't mention is I like to try to collect different games too. So like the Jak and Daxter games, those were PS2 titles, so I wanted to have some PS2 games represented. You know, there's the Spider-Man games. I wanted to have Marvel games represented. Assassin's Creed, I wanted to have Assassin's Creed in that series represented. So like there's a lot of things that I do in here that are specific or strategic when it comes to like I want to have them represented in my trophy collection. And Assassin's Creed is one of them. I want that series to be represented in my sports collection, in my trophy collection. So that's why, like I said, I was very, very excited to do that. Next up was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This was a day one purchase for me, unfortunately. Good game if they would have marketed it as just a single player, play the game, and that's it. They marketed it as it being kind of like a Destiny type game where it was a live game. The world was ever changing. You continued to have DLCs that would add more and more, and like it was a live service game. So like you're always playing online and you can see other players coming in and out of when you're playing and things like that. And like I don't think that landed well with the way the game was. It was very boring when it came, like you did a lot of the same stuff. So any of the online stuff, there was like 3 missions that when I say online, I meant like the post game stuff. So after you beat the main story, in a game like Destiny, you still have more stuff to do, and you can continue to play and play and play and build up your character and get better gear and do better things and blah 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 blah. And then the new stuff comes out and you have to redo it all again. There wasn't enough meat on the bone in Suicide Squad to keep you wanting to do it. I have not played Suicide Squad again since I got the Platinum Trophy. Like I said, I got the Platinum Trophy, and I kept it on my console for a little bit because I knew it was a live service game, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll, want to continue to play it. I did not. I ended up deleting it from the game because I had no desire to continue to play it. It was cool to play as Harley and, and Boomerang and all those guys, but like, there just wasn't enough meat on the bone to keep me wanting more. Like I said, I liked the story. I thought that the story was decent. The fighting style wasn't bad. A lot of people hate on the fighting style. I don't think it was bad. I thought it was fine. But there just wasn't enough to keep me wanting to do more. And it was very repetitive when it came to the post-game stuff. After you beat that main story, you're just doing the same like 3 or 4 missions over and over again. And that, I did them for a while because you had to level up so far with your character to do that. But after that, I never had any reason to do it again. So, cool game. I think if they would have just made it like a single person, similar to like a Marvel Spider-Man, where like you just have a story, you have collectibles, you have fun things to do, like that kind of stuff, and then it's over. And then you make a sequel, not trying to make this live service thing. That I don't think worked well for them. But next up, we have Until Dawn. Until Dawn is another PS4 game that I absolutely loved. I platinumed it on my PS4, and I have now platinumed it again on my PS5, and I will be platinuming it a third time whenever I get a copy of the PS5 remaster or the Until Dawn remaster or whatever it's called. Love Until Dawn. Another one of those story-based games where your decisions determine who dies and who lives and things like that. Very similar to The Quarry. I believe the makers of The Quarry are the same team that made Until Dawn. Same concept where, you have a group of friends. They go up in the mountains, and some killers and werewolves and different things start to happen and people start to die. Same kind of trophy list, make it to the end of the night with everybody living, making it to the end of the night with nobody living, making it to this certain point and killing somebody in this specific way or whatever that looks like. Extremely fun game. Love the story behind it. Very, very excited to get my hands on the remaster at some point. But yes, that is a game I've now platinumed twice. Once when I originally played it on the PS4 and once now on my PS5 account. Next up, we have We Love Katamari Royal Revive, something like that. And that is a game where you start as like a little tiny ball and you start to roll stuff up. So at the beginning, you're rolling, you're picking up paper clips. And then you get a little bit bigger now with the paper clips. So now you pick up, like a pencil. And then you pick up something bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And some of the levels you get so big that you're rolling up buildings, And the ball gets odd shaped though as well. So like you start out small and you're picking up paper clips and you're still kind of ball shaped. Well, then you hit that pencil, and you're thinking about, my fist is the ball and now you stick a pencil in it. Now my ball is kind of wonky when it's trying to roll because it has this weird like antenna thing sticking out of it. So that added some kind of interesting dynamics to the game of like my ball's rolling a real weird now. So fun game, very very kid type game. But to get the platinum, you have to beat the levels in a certain amount of time, and you have to roll up so many things and do some of that kind of stuff. But loved the game, thought it was super fun, super silly. Very very excited that I picked it up. That was another one I did pick up, the physical copy, so very very glad to have a physical copy of that in my collection. And love that I took the time to get that platinum. Next up, we have Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That would be the sequel to the Fallen Order that we talked about earlier. Nothing much more to say. Same thing. The map system is exactly the same, so not great. But love the game. Thought it was cool. They added some cool stuff with the bar that you could like customize, and you had the plants that you could plant on the roof and things like that. Ton of collectibles to collect. Very similar to the Spider-Man games, like I said, where you beat the story, you get all the collectibles, you do all that kind of stuff, you'll usually get the platinum. So fun game, really, really love Jedi Survivor. Hope they continue that series on. Hope we can see more of Cal Kestis' story. And maybe see why, he isn't in any more of the movies. Obviously, they didn't know about him, but like when they made episodes 4, 5, and 6, they didn't know anything about that Cal Kestis was going to be a thing. But now that he is a thing, what's the reasoning behind why he wasn't in those movies, if that makes sense? You know what I mean? Like, the writers who wrote the story for this game have to have some type of reasoning as to why he doesn't show up in those movies, because he could have trained Luke. You know what I mean? He's a Jedi that could train Luke or what have you. Or like, why doesn't Yoda know he's alive? Or, you know what I mean? Like, there has to be some story there, if that makes sense. Next up, we did RoboCop Rogue City. This is another one that I knew was coming out and was very excited to play. The RoboCop movie is a good movie. I enjoy that movie. And I thought this game would be fun, especially seeing some trailers and some game footage beforehand. I thought it would be excellent to play, and it was. It was very fun. Relatively short game, relatively easy game. RoboCop is a robot, and if you've seen the movie, he moves very slow, so there's not like a lot of running and going crazy, but his gun is super powerful. It was so super fun to basically obliterate the enemies. Very very overpowered. So I love that feeling in video games when you feel super overpowered. I just think that's a very fun kind of fantasy, you know what I mean? Because not a lot of people are very overpowered, I guess, in the real world. So it is fun to kind of do that. But so a fun game, very very interesting. Kind of concept of the RoboCop story, and made for a very fun short platinum, I would say. It didn't take me too long to do. Next up, we have Detroit Become Human. This is another one that my wife wanted for the PS4, so she bought it for the PS4 back in that day and age. Played it, really enjoyed the game. She played it without me, so I didn't really know much about it. I mean, I saw bits and pieces when I would come in and out while she was playing it, but I didn't know too much about the story behind it. It is very similar to The Quarry and Until Dawn, where your decisions determine what happens. So it's about robots. It's set well in the future of Detroit, where robots basically do everything for humans. So they go shopping, they run errands, they do all this kind of stuff for the human race. But then things start to happen where the robots start to realize, like, we are not just objects, we're people too. They start to have emotions, they start to have feelings, they start to want to be considered people as well. And you play through as the robots, and your decisions and the things you decide to do base how the humans feel about you. So you can beat the game where you and the humans are very very tight. You agree on the robots becoming citizens, you agree on the robots becoming their own species, things like that. Or you can do the game where you decide to kill humans. You instead of having peaceful riots, you have riots where you shoot at them and kill them and things like that. So you can decide those kind of things. And to get the platinum, you have to do both. So I saw both sides of the story. I thought it was really interesting. It's a very thought-provoking kind of concept. As we continue to get further and further into with AI, that's a big deal right now. It'll be interesting to see how far the human race can go with some of this robots and robotic technology and things like that. So it's definitely very thought-provoking at a time like this where AI is starting to get very big. So very, very fun game to play at this day and age or this time. And very happy that my wife bought the physical copy. Again, very, very glad to have the physical copy of Detroit Become Human. That's another one that if they ever remade it or remastered it for like the PS5 or the upcoming PS6, something like that, I would do it again, or I would play it again to try to get the platinum. Next up, we have Lego Marvel Superheroes, two of my favorite things, Lego and Marvel combined, so of course had to do it. This was another one I had on the PS4. I platinumed on the PS4, so this is my second time platinuming it. Love the game. Not much to say about it. You play as all the Marvel superheroes. You do some missions. You collect some studs. You collect some mini kits, things like that you do in all the Lego games. So very, very fun game. Definitely love those Lego games and would recommend it. Next up, we have God of War 2018. I say 2018 because obviously God of War, the original one, came out back for PS2, I believe. And then this was the kind of reboot of the series, if you will, for God of War 2018. The game itself is just called God of War, but most kind of people in the gaming community call it God of War 2018 to decipher between which one you're talking about, the original and the new one. So God of War 2018, I just knocked something over. God of War 2018 was super, super fun game. Love the update to it. I love the Greek mythology, and to now add in the Norse mythology is very, very fun. I love also the addition of Atreyu or Atreus is what it is. So I love that kind of concept and that different take on Kratos. I love Kratos. I thought he was an awesome character in the original trilogy. He's one of my favorite gaming characters of all time. And now to see him in a different light with his son is very, very cool. And that's why I did him right back to back. I did God of War 2018 first, and right after that I did God of War Ragnarok, which is the sequel. Absolutely loved it. Ragnarok is amazing. Such a phenomenal game. As far as I know, I did the DLC for that one too, so I'm 100% on those ones. Excellent game. I love God of War Ragnarok. Very, very fun game. I hope they continue to do more God of War games. I've heard rumors that they're going to kind of take Kratos out and just have Atreus do his own story, and that'll be kind of where the God of War story goes, because obviously Kratos is getting old. So they're going to move it to his son and kind of go that way. I don't know which way they go. Either way, I'll play it just to check it out at least. But I really, really love what they did with this God of War series. I loved the original trilogy. I played those when they came out for PS3. They got like rebooted up to the PS3 from PS2 or whatever it was. Or maybe it was PS4. I can't remember. But I did play those then, and I loved them. I do want to play those now on the PS5 and get those platinum trophies. That's another one, like I talked about, where I wanted to have God of War represented on my trophy list. It is too important to Sony and to the PlayStation brand to not have Kratos represented on my trophy list. So very, very happy to have those two. Those are the only like game and sequel that I've done back to back like that. Usually I like to take a break. So like I did Marvel's Spider-Man, and then I did a bunch of different games before I did Miles Morales. Even the Lego Harry Potter game, I did Harry Potter 1 through 4, and then I did Immortals, and then I did Harry Potter 5 through 7. So like it's very rare for me to want to continue a series that quickly after. Not saying that I don't like any of those series. I'm just saying, like, once you've watched something or played something for so long, I put 50 hours into Marvel Spider-Man. So I've spent 50 hours of my life playing one game. I don't want to do another 25 for Miles Morales right after that. It doesn't mean I don't like it. It just gives you a break and to think about something else. For God of War, absolutely worth it. I loved it, every minute of it. So excellent two games right there. Next up, we did something a little bit lighter. So we did Moving Out 2. This is another game. Bought day one. Loved it. Moving Out 1, the original one, I did, and I got all the achievements on my Xbox. So I have not done Moving Out 1 on my PS5. I will definitely do that at some point, hoping that maybe it'll go free for one of the months for PSN or something to that effect. Also, if you haven't noticed, I totally gave up on doing one of the PSN games every single month. As of now, I've only done Nobody Saves the World for the year of 2024, and we're probably, deep into, March, April at this point. Suicide Squad came out in February, so you're looking, like I said, March, April, at least the dates will probably be on there if you're looking at that. But Moving Out 2, came out. I loved that game. I loved the first one, so I knew when Moving Out 2 was announced that I had to get it. I have the physical version of it as well, so very, very excited there. Love that game. My wife makes fun of me so hard because you're literally just moving out of houses. So each level, you're in a house and you have, a minute and 30 seconds to move all their items out. But it's also hilarious because you're not careful at all. So like, in order to do it in that amount of time, you're upstairs, you pick up their TV, you chuck it out the window into the moving truck. Like, it's hilarious. That's another thing though too, is you only have so much space in your moving truck, so you have to make it all fit as well. So that also takes up some of your time. And some of the stuff they have you move is weird. Like those it makes me think of like the dog tunnels, like when they train dogs and they have the dogs that do those crazy obstacle courses, they have those tunnels that they run through. They would have you move things like that, so it's such a weird, like, long oblong shape. But yeah, absolutely love those games. So much fun. Like another game that would be fun to play at like parties or with a group of people, just because it's hilarious the different things you can do to move some of this stuff. So very, very fun game there. Next up, we did Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights is a DC superhero game. It's based on the Batman characters. This one starts out pretty grim. Batman dies. So Batman has died, and his proteges, if you will, kind of take up the mantle. They don't go as Batman. They go as their own superheroes. So you have Batgirl, you have Nightwing, you have Robin, and you have... why can't I think of his name now? I want to say Deadshot, but I don't think that's what it is. I can't remember the fourth one. I can't remember now. But you play as those four characters, and you can choose which one you want to be. And you can switch whenever you want throughout. So for mission number 1, maybe I want to play as Robin. For mission number 2, I decide to switch it up. I'll play as Batgirl, things like that. And that's how you go through and progress the story, is you work together as a team with those 4 characters, and you play all the missions. And it makes sense because, when you switch from like Robin to Nightwing, you'll say like, Nightwing will say like, hey, I'm going to go do this for our, cause and blah, blah, blah. And then he'll go out and, you do the mission as him or what have you. For the Platinum Trophy, you did have to level up all 4 characters, I believe. So I did cycle through them pretty frequently just to play as them all. If I remember correctly, Nightwing, I believe, was my favorite, just from a playstyle standpoint. So I did play as him probably the most, but I love that DC world. Batman is my favorite superhero of all time. I don't know that I've ever mentioned that on the challenge, on the channel, but Batman is my favorite superhero of all time. So to play anything when it comes to Batman, it is awesome. So love that Gotham Knights. Next up, for Platinum 35, I did Kingdom Hearts 3. So this was right when my second son was born, so I needed something to do while I was home with my wife. I had 4 weeks off from work. I had the privilege of, being allowed to do that from my work at the time, so I was very excited for that. While we were here taking care of a newborn baby, I platinumed Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 1 is my absolute favorite game of all time. Love, love, love that game. My wife also loves that game. She played it on PS2 back in the day as well. She's gotten to the point where she almost hates that game because I watch it on Twitch or YouTube or whatever so much. I've watched people play Kingdom Hearts 1 so many times. I don't have the guts to try to platinum it yet. I do want to do that at some point. It's my favorite game of all time. It has to be on this list. But I started with Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3 is the easiest platinum of the whole series, I think. There's more than just the 3 that you can get platinums for, but Kingdom Hearts 3 is the easiest, and so that's what I went with, just to kind of get my feet wet. So yeah, I do love the Kingdom Hearts series. Kingdom Hearts 3 was kind of a letdown, not my favorite game. I love the first one, of course. The second one I thought was good, had no problem with the second one. The third one just didn't do it for me. It was all right, and when I originally played it, I bought it on day 1 because I was so excited for it. I didn't even finish it because I was like, this is just not what I wanted out of a game. When I replayed it for the Platinum, I did finish it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Going in at the when I first got it on day 1, I think the hype was too big for me. Like I said, it's my favorite game of all time, and I'm getting more content for it, and it was just a letdown. So now that I knew I let it marinate a little bit more. I knew it was a little bit less than Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I was more okay with it. So it wasn't terrible, but very, very happy to have Kingdom Hearts on my platinum, list. And I do want to do the first and second one and some of the ancillary ones, like the PSP ones or whatever those other ones were for. But yes, very, very happy to have Kingdom Hearts. Next up, I did Horizon Zero Dawn. I did the PS4 version. I have not done the PS5 remaster or whatever they did for this one. I also have not yet done the second one, Forbidden West. I do plan on doing that and want to do that. But this was the original Horizon Zero Dawn. And I love the game. I thought it was great. Just like the Spider-Man games. Very, very similar. Kill some enemies in a certain way, do some certain things, get all the collectibles, beat the missions, do the side missions, things like that, and you get your platinum trophy. Thought it was a good story. Aloy was a fun character. I liked the concept of the robots taking over. This goes back to what we talked about with Detroit Become Human. What is going to happen when these robots start to think for their self? And is that even possible? You know what I mean? Like, obviously technology isn't there yet for us, but like, some of these games are very thought-provoking, and that's what I love about some of these video games is the thought-provoking side of it. So I really, really enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn. I thought it was excellent. I know it's not for everybody because it's kind of a big game, kind of a weird concept game, but I loved it. I thought it was good. Next up, I did a little bit of a lighter game, and this was another one of the free ones. So this is where I got back into trying to do some of those free games. And I did SpongeBob the Cosmic Shake. Not much to say. Super easy game. Pretty basic platformer. Get the collectibles, beat the game. Nothing special. But I love these type of games. I love SpongeBob. I think it's a fun cartoon. So I loved the fact that it was free, and I definitely picked that one up. And I did another one, not another SpongeBob, but another free game right after that. And I did Tunic. Tunic was another one of the free monthly games. So again, here I was at a point where I was like, what do I want to platinum? You know what I mean? Like, I got these free games that I got because I'm a member, like, might as well do some of them. So that's where I did Tunic right after that. This is another one where it's kind of like a cat or a fox. I don't even know what the character is, but you go through it, fight enemies, do missions, things like that. I don't know. It wasn't anything special to me. I know some people really like it, but like, nothing crazy for me. I'm glad I platinumed it. I don't regret platinuming it by any means. I don't regret any of the games I've platinumed, by the way. I know some people say that they do when they platinum some of those dumb games like We Love Mayo or whatever, where you just click the mayo jar a bajillion times. But I have no regrets for any of the games I've platinumed, and I thought Tunic was a fine game. It just wasn't a game that I would, go out and buy, really. But next up, I did Resident Evil. This is probably my proudest game I've platinumed so far. I love the Resident Evil series. From a series of video games, Resident Evil is my favorite of all time. Kingdom Hearts 1 is my favorite game of all time, but I wouldn't say the series itself is my favorite of all time, just because the first one is where it's at for me. After that, they're good, but they fall off. Whereas for me, Resident Evil, I've loved every game I've played. I've all of them mainly. In Resident Evil Remaster is no different. Absolutely love this game. Super, super proud that I was able to platinum it. You have to beat it on the hardest difficulty. Hard, I guess. But then you unlock harder difficulties. So after you beat it on the hardest difficulty, you unlock Real Survivor. So for Real Survivor, there's a lot of things that change. Items in the game change, so you don't have them, as memorized anymore. Things like that. Then on top of that, then you have to beat Invisible Enemy mode. All the enemies in the entire game are invisible. So, like, you have no idea where they are, necessarily. I mean, there's still some clues. You can hear them. And if you walk by, like, a mirror or something, you can see them in the mirror. But, like, other than that, you can't see them, so you have no idea where they are. Had to do that. That was super fun. Very proud that I was able to accomplish that. And then on top of that, most of the time with Resident Evil games, you have to speedrun them. You have to beat them in a certain amount of time. So to be able to beat an entire game in, I can't remember what my time was for it, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. Very, very rewarding. Really, really love those Resident Evil games. Replay is very, very much there. I think I played the game 4 times to platinum it, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe more, actually, because you can do it as both characters as well. So you have to beat it as Chris, you have to beat it as Jill, You have to beat it on hard. You have to beat it on real survivor. You have to beat it on invisible enemy mode. And some of them you can double up, so you don't have to do as many playthroughs as I just said there. But very, very fun game. I know some people don't think there's a lot of replay value there because you're doing the same thing over and over again, where a lot of people, for replay value, they want different stuff to do. For me, I love the Resident Evil games, doing them over and over and over again. It is so rewarding when you get to the end of that game and you've only played for 2 hours and you beat the entire game. To me, that's awesome. Like, I just love that feeling, to know that you're that good at a game, to know exactly where you have to go. You have it memorized. You have the item placement memorized. You know exactly where you need to be at a certain time. Things like that. Just very, very rewarding. Love, love, love Resident Evil. Next up, we did College Football 25. And this was a game I was very excited to come out. We haven't had a college football game in a long, long time. And I was very excited for this one. I didn't get it on day one, but I got it like week 1. And the trophies are super, super basic. I was kind of nervous about this game because I wanted to play it, but I wanted to try to platinum it if possible, because I didn't have any sports game yet in my platinum collection. And like I said, I want to get a good array of games in this list. So I needed a sports game, and this was one that I thought was doable. I only had to play online a handful of times. I think I only won like 3 or 4 games online, and I was able to get the online trophies done. If you haven't noticed, I'm not a big fan of online gaming. I don't like to have to either depend on somebody else or have to beat somebody else at a specific game to get the platinum, if that makes sense. So like Call of Duty, for instance, you have to play online a lot, where you play against other players, and I've just never been good enough at some of those games to get those kind of trophies. So that's why I don't do a lot of stuff online. So this was one of the first times that there might be a couple other online trophies coming up in some of the games, but this is the first real one where I had to do online trophies against other human players, and very, very proud of that one too. Not a platinum I'm like proud of per se, that like I would brag about, because it's not very hard, but definitely proud that I was able to win at least, the bare minimum amount of games to get the trophy for in that one. So cool there. Next up, we got the platinum for Lego Star Wars Force Awakens. This is the Lego Star Wars game just based on that one movie, which was silly. Basically, all the other ones are based on trilogies. So they did a original trilogy, so you could do Lego Star Wars 4, 5, and 6 movie. Then they did a prequel trilogy, so Lego Star Wars 1, 2, and 3. And then now they've done the Skywalker saga, where you have all 9 in there. But they did this one where it was just one movie, so very silly. But it was a game I was very excited for. I pre-ordered it and got it on day 1 back for the PS4. I didn't end up platinuming it on the PS4, but I've now platinumed it on the PS5. Glad I did. It's a good one to have on the list. It's another Lego game. Like I said, I want to do as many Lego games as I can. This is one that I already had from back when I was, on my PS4, so it was an easy game to, obviously not for free because I paid for it, but like for free on the PS5 kind of thought process. But so happy I did it, but a silly game that they came out with. They really just did it to capitalize on the hype of new Star Wars movies coming out. Next up, we did Goat Simulator 3. Now, Goat Simulator 3 is a little bit weird because I actually did Goat Simulator 3 right after college football, but there was one trophy that was glitched. So, and by what I mean by that is when you did what you were supposed to do to get the trophy, it wouldn't pop. So whatever in the coding of the game, it wouldn't allow you to do the thing and then or it would allow you to do the thing, but it wouldn't tell the game that you achieved the trophy, if that makes sense. So I beat the whole game. I had the entire trophy list done. I had the whole game beat. I had everything done. And I went to do this last thing. Trophy didn't pop. So I start looking around online, and I find out that it is glitched. It's a known thing. The publishers, or I keep saying publisher, but I don't know if that's exactly what they're called to make video games, but they had commented and said, hey, we take a month off or whatever it is in the summer. So this would have been summer of 2024 that Goat Simulator was happening. And basically they said, hey, we take the time off. When we come back, we'll get it patched. So essentially, I had to stop playing Goat Simulator 3, and I moved on to Lego Star Wars Force Awakens, and I beat the entire Lego Star Wars Force Awakens and got the platinum. And then they finally had come back from their vacation, fixed the patch. I got on Goat Simulator 3 for 5 minutes, did that one task again, got the platinum trophy, and was done. That's how silly it was. Like it was like, if you look on my account, on my PSN account, it says that it took me like a month and a half or something to get that trophy or to get that platinum, when in reality it probably took me 2 weeks technically. You know, I did everything in 2 weeks and then another 5 minutes a month and a half later to finish it. So, but yeah, that's kind of my story about Goat Simulator 3. It's the same as Goat Simulator 1. Great game, funny game where you do some crazy Goat Simulator stuff. Oh, and just to point out, there is no Goat Simulator 2. There's only Goat Simulator 1 and then Goat Simulator 3. There's no Goat Simulator 2. So that's why that is missing from my trophy list. Just to clarify. Next up, we have Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. This is another story-driven, single-player type game. Thought it was fun. I mean, I liked the Avatar movie, and I didn't see the second one, but I liked the first one. I thought it would be fun. I love these story-based games. Like I said, similar to Spider-Man, similar to Horizon Zero Dawn. So very, very similar. Do the collectibles, do all the missions, do all the side missions, do everything in the game, and you'll get your trophy. I did not do the DLC for this because I did not want to pay for it, essentially. I bought the game. I got the platinum. I did not want to pay for the DLC to get the extra trophies there. I don't know. I enjoyed my time with it, but it wasn't something that like I needed to get the DLC trophies for, I suppose. I've just gotten to a point where like I want to play more games. Like that's to me part of the trophy hunting, is to play as many games as you can and get as many trophies as possible, or as many platinums as possible, I should say. So the DLC stuff just isn't as important to me, I guess. But next up, we got Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. This was another free game for one of the months. I can't remember. This is another one that I started before Avatar, and it took me a while to get the platinum because of one trophy. There was a trophy where you had to play with friends and win, I think 3 games it was with a friend. And I did not have any friends at the time that had the game. So I did have one friend that, as soon as it went up for free on the PlayStation, I said, hey, can you download this game? I'll need you to help me when we get to that point. He said, sure. He downloaded the game. And then it just took forever for us to link up to be able to play. When we finally were able to do it, I had already beaten Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora and platinumed it, and had, like, again, same with Goat Simulator, basically. I was to the point where all I had to do was win those 3 games, and I got the platinum trophy. So, like I said, as soon as we were able to link up, we hopped on, we played those 3 games, I got my platinum trophy, and we were done. So, shout out to Ethan there. I appreciate you, buddy. Without you, I would not have that platinum trophy, so happy there. We move into another free game right after that with Doki Doki Literature Club. This is the weirdest game I've ever played. This is a story of like a real story-driven game. Like all you do is read and click the button to read the next thing. So it's just like reading a book. Like I said, it's kind of like those books back when I was a kid. They had those books where like you would read a page, and then at the bottom it would say like, if you want to do this, turn to page 5 and read on. If you want to do this, turn to page 6 and read on, or whatever. So it kind of reminded me of that, where like you're literally just reading a story, and you have very, very minimal choices that you can make, but for the most part, you're just reading a story on the screen. But there's a twist that gets real, real dark. It gets real different than what you expect, because it kind of looks like a very girly, what do I want to say? A game made for teenage to 20-year-old men, where they're in scantily outfits, their breasts are all pushed up and everything. And like, so you're thinking it's kind of like a dating game where you're like mimicking dating and things like that, for kind of gross, lonely men, if you will. I apologize if that's you out there, but and then all of a sudden, boom, it turns on a dime, and you're like, whoa, that was definitely not what I expected. And it was definitely not what I anticipated whatsoever. I read some guides before I did it, so I knew there was a turn, but I never let myself read what the turn was. So when it finally happened, I was like, holy shit, that was not where I thought this was going at all. I only played this because it was a free game that I downloaded because of the PlayStation member, like I said. But now I'm happy I did, because that was the craziest thing I ever witnessed. So that was wild, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone because it's just so weird that I think you should try it out. So if you happen to like download it or add it to your library or whatever when it was free, definitely check it out. It won't take you that long, especially if you only want to get to the twist. It definitely won't take you that long, but interesting game. Glad I platinumed it. Glad I did some stuff there. Weird game too, because the trophies are really weird. You'd have to play it to understand, but it's a weird game. Definitely like switched on a dime though, and was really fun there. We go right into the next one. Third game in a row that was a free game, Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3, that's the first Borderlands game I've ever played, to be honest. Borderlands is a series where you fight aliens, you fight other bad guys, things like that. You're on a different planet. Again, you're set way in the future. Humans have traveled to different planets, things like that. And there's like pirates or rebels, whatever you want to call them, that you fight against. There's like alien creatures that you fight against, things like that. Borderlands 3 is part of that series, if you will. It just continues on that, where you're fighting a lot of different enemies, things like that. You have a lot of crazy guns that do crazy things, and you can unlock new ones and better ones and things like that. This one sucked because I beat the entire game. I did all the collectibles. I did all the side missions. I did literally everything in the game that you have to do to get the platinum. Probably 40, 50 hours in it or so. And one of the trophies is to beat every side mission in the entire game. Cool, not a problem. That's fine. One single side mission was glitched, and it wouldn't let me start the mission. You walk up to the NPC or the non-playable character, and you're supposed to be able to talk to him to start the mission. I couldn't talk to him. Couldn't do anything. Could not get the mission to start. I look on the internet. It's a known issue. No sign of them fixing it ever. Some people have said, start a new game plus, start the game over, play through it, and get to that point. So I begrudgingly did that. And side missions, if you've played video games, side missions usually unlock as you progress through the game. So as you get further and further and further into the game, more and more side missions unlock as you meet new characters and things like that. So the mission that I needed, I didn't unlock until you got to the very, very, very last planet of the game. So you travel to the last planet, you do like the first or second mission on that planet, and it unlocks this last side mission. So now I have to play and beat this game and essentially entirely again. I didn't have to do all the side content and the extra stuff, so it was quicker. But I had to do this entire game over again up until like the last mission or so. In hope that it didn't glitch again to be able to do this side mission. So I could do this whole thing again and be in the same place I was. Thank God I was able to do this one side mission and get the trophy. I would have lost my mind if I would have literally done everything I needed to do to get that platinum trophy and then not been able to get it. I would have lost my mind. So I'm very, 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 very happy that it did not glitch again, and I was able to get that side mission completed, because I don't know what I would have done. I feel like I probably would have stopped playing video games for a good amount of time, because I would have been so pissed off. But anyways, Borderlands 3 is on the list. Again, another big series that I wanted to have on the list, especially once I saw that it was going to be free. So very happy to have that one. Next up was the Patrick Star game. This is another one I got for Christmas. And this is where we're getting to the tail end of 2024. So I got this for Christmas, and then I platinumed it shortly after that. And it goes back to the other SpongeBob game. Fun game, loved it. But it's just a silly little platformer. Nothing too crazy, nothing super hard about it. I did it in, I think, a day and a half. So I started it one day, finished it the next day when it comes to the platinum. And absolutely loved it. Basically every year, my mom buys me the stuff, and my grandma just wraps it and gives it to me from her, like for her presents. So I got this from my grandma for Christmas, and when my mom gave it to her to wrap, she was like, why does Dylan want this children's game? That's weird. And my mom was like, just trust me, that's what he wants. So like it was, that game will always have a special place in my heart just because of that. She'll never watch this to know, but just know I beat that game 100%. I did every single thing you could do in it because I got the platinum trophy. So, Grandma, I did want it. Anyways, next up, we have Hello Neighbor 2. And actually, I missed a game in here somewhere in between the Patrick Star game and Hello Neighbor 2. I did the Lego Horizons game. I didn't write it down on my list. You'll see it on the screen here. But that was another Lego game based on the Horizon series and based on Horizon Zero Dawn. It was a very different Lego game. Very different than any of the other Lego games. This game is almost just like it was just a regular Horizon Zero Dawn story game with Legos. So like there wasn't any mini kits to collect. There wasn't like you were collecting a ton of studs to make money and things like that. It was just like you were playing a regular single player story game. And I thought it was fine. It just wasn't your traditional Lego game that I'm used to. And that's fine. I still enjoyed it. I just really liked the collectible, like all the stuff that the Lego games normally do. I've always really enjoyed. So the Lego Horizon one was a little different. And I don't remember exactly where it fell into here. You'll see it on the screen if I get my editing good, but it's in here somewhere. And then Hello Neighbor 2, I believe Lego Horizon was maybe between Patrick Star and Hello Neighbor 2. I'm not positive because I believe Hello Neighbor 2 was my last platinum of 2024. I did that in like, I don't know, 5 hours or something. It's super short. This is the second time the first time I did it on Xbox, so 1,000 of 1,000 the achievements. I've now platinumed it on the PS5 as well. This was another free game 1 month sometime in 2024 that I downloaded, so I got this one. These last 3 games, the Patrick Star game, the Lego Horizon, and the Hello Neighbor 2, was my effort to like finish out the year strong, because at this point I knew I wasn't going to hit my 40 for the year. So I had 20 to end 2023, so from 21 to what looks like 49-ish would be what I did. So about 29 games or so is what I did for 2024. So only 9 games more than what I did in 2023. So definitely a slower pace. 2023 though, I also did have a lot more time. I only had 1 son instead of most of 2024. I had 2. And then also the entire summer of 2023, I did not work. I was let go from my job. So I didn't have a job that entire summer. So from July 4th to I went back to work in October, I was being paid that whole time. So I don't think I was just being, I got severance and stuff. So I was being paid still. So I wasn't just a lazy piece of shit. But I was home all day. You know what I mean? So a lot of times I would wake up in the morning and I'd play for 3 or 4 hours, and hang out with my son while I was playing and stuff. And then we'd go out and start our day and like, we'd go do something or we'd hang out or whatever. So I'd have a good chunk of time. Whereas now I don't even get to play games every single day because I have both sons and a wife and blah, blah, blah. So that's where like the time dwindled for sure. And that's why 2023 will probably always be my best year from like a time standpoint. Obviously in 2024, I had more platinums, but I also had more months, and I only had 9 more. So from January 1st to say July 4th or July 3rd, it's like I only did 9 platinums, you know what I mean? And then from July 4th to the end of the year, I did 20. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of weird there, but and then to start out 2025, I've gotten 3 platinums so far. I got Last of Us Part 2 remastered. So I did the remastered version of the sequel. I never played the second one originally. That's another one I'd like to get the original PS4 version and platinum it as well, but I never played that one. So this was the first time I'd ever seen or ever, kind of watched the story of the second one unfold. So very, very excited to see that. I thought it was good. I loved Abby. I thought Abby was a great character. Disappointed that it sounds like she might not be back for Last of Us 3. Super excited that it's Caitlin Dever playing her in season 2 of the show. I love Caitlin Dever. She's a phenomenal actress, I think, and very, very excited that she's playing Abby. Like I said, I loved Abby in the game. I thought Abby was awesome. She's such a freaking badass chick. So really, really excited for the show. Thought the game was awesome. Thought the remaster was good. Want to get the PS4 version and platinum it again. But Yes, definitely loved Last of Us Part 2. Very good game, worth playing, whether you play the PS4 or the remastered PS5, definitely worth it. Number 50, the 50th Platinum. I believe this was 50. I wonder if my numbers are messed up because I missed that game on this list. It is messed up because Last of Us Part 2 was 50. I did Last of Us Part 2 as 50 on purpose because I wanted a special game to be 50. So Last of Us Part 2 is 50. 51 is Resident Evil 0. So Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 0 got a physical disc release on the same disc back, I don't know, during the PS4 era, a while ago. And I bought that physical copy back then. So I had it for the PS4. I only platinumed Resident Evil 0, however, on the PS4 back then. I never had the balls to do Resident Evil 1 back then, but I did do Resident Evil 0. I then also did it on my Xbox. So I 1,000 did it on my Xbox, and I have now done it for a third time on my PS5. Absolutely love Resident Evil 0. Probably the only person that loves Resident Evil that will say it's one of my favorite. I love Resident Evil 0. I love the inventory system. I love the two characters, Billy and Rebecca. Everybody else hates the inventory system because in all the other games, there's like boxes, and you go to the box, you put your stuff in, and then you can go to the box again and get your stuff out. Where in this one, there's no box. Each character can hold 6 items, that's it, and you can transfer back and forth between each other, and then you can put stuff on the ground and pick it up. If you put something on the ground, it'll stay in the room that you're in, and you can go off and do something else. But then if you need that item again, you have to go all the way back to it and pick it up. So the inventory management is awesome. I love that system. The thinking, the thought process. What are you going to keep? What are you not going to keep? Are you going to take this gun? Because if you do, you may not be able to pick up the item that you need to continue the story. Like, love it. Like I said, I've essentially platinumed it 3 times. Did it on the PS4, did all the achievements on the Xbox, and now I've done it again on the PS5. Absolutely love Resident Evil 0. You'll never hear another Resident Evil fan probably say that, but everybody likes what they like, and I love Resident Evil 0. I really wish they'd bring Billy back. He hasn't been back at pretty much every other character in Resident Evil you've played as in more than one game, except for Billy. I don't know that you've ever played as Rebecca again either, to be honest, but I really would love to see what happened to Billy after that game. Like I said, love Resident Evil 0. But next up, we did Days Gone. Days Gone is another one, kind of zombie-esque. And very different. It's not for everybody. Very slow build. So there's kind of 2 parts to the game. You start in one area of the game, and you play. You get to about the halfway point, and you move on to another section of the game. And it unlocks the whole map then, and you can kind of freely travel wherever you want. But that first part of the game, or the first half, boring. I mean, not really any other way to put it. I thought it was boring. Drug on, was long. You didn't get weapons that were good enough to do some of the extra stuff soon enough. They have things in the game called hordes, where there's like hundreds of zombies all coming at you at once, and you're just one man trying to kill them all. You know what I mean? And those were like some of the side missions. And you would come across those, and I never felt prepared for those. It was just disappointing because, like, I want, like, when I play those kind of open world games, if I just randomly come across something, I don't want to feel so under-leveled or so underpowered that I can't beat it. If I randomly come across it, I want to at least stand a chance. And I felt like at the beginning of this game, I just didn't. And on top of that, there wasn't enough to the story to really keep me wanting more. And then you get to that second half of the game, and I'm just like, man, this is a different game. It just feels different. You get to that second part of the game, and it was like the second vendor or something that you see, you get one of the best guns in the game. And then, like, I used that gun the rest of the time. The rest of the entire game, I used that one gun, and I just dominated. You know, like, I was killing horrors, I was doing everything with that one gun. And then you start to unlock grenades, and like, it just opened up so much. So, good game, fun game, recommend it. It's getting a remaster also that I will also do in Platinum. But you got to get through that first half of the game. You just got to get through that. I know it's tough and it gets boring, but you just got to get through that first half and you'll be golden. Yes, so that's what I have to say about Days Gone. Good game, fun game. The other one cool thing about Days Gone is it has an actual section in the pause menu that tracks your trophies for you. Usually you have to go all the way back to like your home screen of the PlayStation to see your trophies, or to track your trophies, if you will. Days Gone, right from the pause menu, had the trophies there. So in Days Gone, you have to collect, one of the collectibles is like when you kill the zombie, you collect their ears, and that's kind of what you use as like a type of currency. And you have to collect 999 of their ears as one of the trophies. And in that pause menu, it tracks every single one of them, for you while you're there. In a lot of games, you don't have any idea what the tracking is. So like you're just killing zombies, collecting their ears until the trophy finally pops. And so Days Gone was really nice from that regard. So that's one last thing I wanted to say on Days Gone. But that's the end of it. Holy crap, that was long. I did not anticipate it being that long, but I like to talk. We all know that. So holy shit. Really hope that you stuck with me there. If not, it is what it is. I understand. But that is my trophy list. Like I said, this was more so for me because I want to try to do some editing stuff. I want to try to do some different things to see how it works out. But I'm going to get off here because that was super long. I will catch you in the next one. Keep on gaming out there, y'all.